Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Papa Boris here, playing some more Through the Ages. Once again, we're going to do a game with the base set. That means updated cards, but no expansion cards. I do plan to play with the expansion a little bit later, after I've, had a few videos that just show the base set. My opponent went first. He grabbed the pyramids here. Not a bad time to be the second player. You have your choice. You can grab Engineering Genius, which is fine-ish. Means I will get to build the Library of Alexandria. But I think I'd rather just take Hanging Gardens and either Stockpile or Urban Growth. That gives me 1 rock as opposed to Engineering Genius's 2 rocks. The Hanging Gardens, I think, is comparable to the library. Well, is that true? I mean, it's 2 actions, and I still have to plan another action. It's fine. We'll go for this. I think taking library is tempting, but my opponent might snipe Aristotle, which library plus Aristotle is really good. But this way, if I do the Engineering Genius, Aristotle lands... Well, actually, he'd land in the bitch spot. My opponent might not take him. Should I take... You know what? I'm not sure this is the right move, but let's be a little frisky. Let's take Engineering Genius. And we're going to build the library. I know I'm going to get the library because the library ends up in this spot, so it doesn't fall off. And my opponent took the pyramid, so he can't take the library from me. I try to justify taking the Hanging Gardens, which is a good wonder, and I think comparable to the library. But what I'm getting with my other action is basically like a rock. I'm getting 2 rocks from the Engineering Genius. And the thing is, in this game, a lot of the time, you end up not having anything good to do on your second turn. So I'm okay with making a move that's like making me have to spend more actions later. Okay, so Michelangelo came up early, so that is a shame that I didn't get the Hanging Gardens. He's good with Hanging Gardens because he gives you 2 extra culture per turn, plus makes it easier to grab wonders and build them. As it is, we're gonna go for a pretty straightforward play here. We'll take Aristotle, put the library under construction, build a mine. And then, like last game, it doesn't actually matter if you put Aristotle into play or raise your population. You'll have to do the other one on the next turn. But I think raising population, I guess, is a little bit better because if my opponent, who is the first player, flips an event that uses a worker, most notably the Build a Temple event, then I'd much rather have the worker out than the Aristotle out. I guess I could have... Is this the same exact thing I did in my last game? I played the other game a long time ago, so I don't actually remember. But maybe it is. So maybe I could have considered doing something a little bit different just for variety's sake. Now, the nice thing about having Engineering Genius is that if you get a single rock from the Age A events, you can build your wonder right away. So, like, on my second turn, if I actually got a rock, I'd have 4 rocks plus 2 is 6. And I could just build the wonder this turn, which is a good thing to do because... Like I've mentioned several times, your second turn, you often have nothing good to do with your actions, and so spending a bunch of them to build the wonder can be a decent thing, especially if your wonder gives you a science. It's the same thing as building your second lab, only you spent your actions building up the wonder that were not very valuable, and then you save your potentially more valuable civil actions for later. So I'm definitely going to play an event here because I would really love to get a rock. It's not super unlikely that I get the rock either, because this gives a rock... This can give rocks. This can give rocks. This does not give a rock, but where's the one for planning? Oh, that's not in this game. Oh, okay, never mind. Forget. I didn't say anything. The expansion adds a new Age A card that lets you flip the unused cards and get one of them. But since I'm playing the base set, that's not in here since it's a new card. Okay, so there's anyway 3 cards out of the 9 that give a rock. Let's go for it. Didn't happen. Okay, well, what we're going to do here is build a lab for 1 rock less. So now next turn I will be able to build the wonder. It's just a question of whether I will want to. I may or I may not. We'll see. So what the hell do I do with my time? Well, let's raise population, play Aristotle, build a stage of the wonder for my last rock, and then cry because there's just nothing good to do with my last action. And I could take Michelangelo. That's a bit of a weird play since I don't have any happy faces on this wonder. I'm not getting any, like, lots of rock production or anything. I mean, I could, instead of building a wonder, do a weird move where I, like, take reserves instead, but that seems a little bit weird. So I'm just going to take rich land. I guess I will technically use it someday when I upgrade either to iron or to irrigation. Okay, So it kind of sucks that the first two AJ events did not give rocks. The third one did. Great. So just in time for my opponent to finish his wonder. That comes out. That's fantastic. And 2 science is good for me. Like I said before, Aristotle synergizes with science. He gives science and he synergizes with science because the more science you have, the easier it is for you to play out your technology cards that you're picking up to gain science from Aristotle. Currently that number is 0. My main thing I'm interested in now is whether my opponent grabs that alchemy for half of his turn. He could, like, for example, finish the pyramids, get the extra civil action, so then he'll have 3 civil actions. He could spend 2 of them to grab the alchemy. It's not a bad play, especially since he has both these urban growths. He chooses to grab Joan of Arc instead. Interesting. I'm not sure what that means, because we went through all of Age A, thanks to Caesar's double event ability. We got through the Age A deck really fast, and there was no free temple event, so he doesn't have, like, super great rock production. So is he, like, planning to build a temple? He could have put some nasty thing in there. Where are you, Rebellion? This is pretty nasty. So you could plan to build a temple so that his happy face is covered up, and then I would lose 2 civil actions when that thing flips, which would be pretty devastating. So maybe that's kind of the game plan. Not sure. Well, anyway, I don't want to flip any of these events because they're all his except for my scientific breakthrough, which I don't want flipping yet because I haven't finished my wonder. So we're going to skip politics. And here, well, I think alchemy is kind of a no-brainer. Finishing the wonder seems good for the extra science. And then the question is whether I grab Leonardo da Vinci. Obviously, he's very good with alchemy. It would be an extra science per turn, plus rocks whenever I research technologies. I mean, the alternative is what exactly? That I grab a reserves for later. These reserves cards are tempting, but the problem is that if you don't have a lot of civil actions, they are hard to play out. I'm going to grab Leonardo. I'm going to put the Legion under effect, even though I could have just thrown away the border conflict thanks to library increasing the military hand size. That might have been better. My opponent now could potentially steal this Legion. He could, like, build another warrior. And then, well, not now, because for now the Legion is mine and mine alone. But next turn he can copy the thing. Well, that is a weird play. He knows that I can block it. Oh, right, because he's Caesar. Right, okay. Well, we'll play a couple of cards to block it. See if he's going to play another aggression. Is this the exact same thing that happened in the previous... Was I up against Caesar too, who also double aggressed me? It looks like that's what this person is planning to do. Because he has a bunch of cards, and he made an aggression when he knew I could block it with just my cards in hand. So, yay, Library of Alexandria letting me keep an extra military card. Quite handy for the blockage. This is a bit of a weird game. A lot of the really good Age 1 stuff didn't come out super early. So, you know, you'd hope to see, like, Iron and Irrigation early. Alchemy did come out early, so that's one thing. But none of the military texts came out early. Monarchy didn't come out early. So, with Aristotle, it didn't end up being the greatest, because I basically got my science for alchemy. If my opponent does not spend 2 actions on Code of Laws, I can't tell if he will or not. It's not a horrible play. We'll see what happens. Cartography for an extra strength, and a temple. Okay, so it makes sense. The temple is a really fishy play, because it gives my opponent a happy face. You basically, like, if you think about it, a temple... It gives you a happy face and a culture, but if you didn't have a worker on this temple, the worker would be sitting on this happy face. So you're really not getting a happy face. What you're really getting is a culture per turn. And spending 3 rocks early in the game to get a culture per turn is not great. Now my opponent, well, let's see. Is there a way, can I look up what level my opponent is? I probably shouldn't spend, 43! Holy crap! This is definitely a really good player, so it really makes it likely that the Rebellion event is in there. And that kind of makes me want to build a temple myself so that I am not caught flat-footed by it. I really don't want to lose 2 civil actions. I mean, am I willing to go all in on the idea that that's in there? Okay, well, let's take Code of Laws, research that, and then I could actually get Drama, which is generally bad, because it's just 1 more culture than a temple, but you're spending actions and science and an extra rock to make it. So it's not something I'm thrilled about doing, but I could do it. That also sets me up for Age 2. Shakespeare and Bach both interact with dramas. It's an aggressive move, to be sure. Okay, we're going to do a slight change of plans here. I'm going to grab Code of Laws. I'm going to grab Drama, taking advantage of the extra hand size from the library. And then I will actually get rid of Aristotle early. We're going to research Code of Laws, getting a rock now. We're going to research Drama, getting another rock. I'm going to build a Drama. And that's my whole turn. So it's a very aggressive play here because I could have researched Alchemy and upgraded some labs. But I didn't do that. Instead, I went for this move because I just am so suspicious of my opponent's play and him having put Rebellion in here. Wealthy Territory. Well, he got Cartography, so it kind of makes sense. There's no point in playing defense cards. If my opponent bids even one Swordsman, he's at 3, which I can get up to, but then he breaks ties. So there's no point in playing it. It just gives away the fact that I have defense cards. So my opponent just spends a worker to pick up 6 rocks. Pretty good. Okay, this is good for me. I get a little bit of extra science going. And, well, let's see what's going to happen here. So, my opponent has a zillion rocks thanks to the Wealthy Territory. When he trades out Caesar for Joan, he's still going to have a bonus strength because he's got this temple. I mean, it's possible he just made this temple in preparation for Joan. It's possible he just had nothing else to do. So that's definitely a possibility. My opponent's putting the university under construction for 2 extra science a turn. He is hell-bent on not building a second lab for some reason. Not that that's a bad move. My opponent... You have to play a lot and be pretty good to get up to level 43 in the app. I mean, technically you can play a lot and just get there just by sheer numbers of games, but it's very difficult to play so much if you're not good and actually get up there. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is research Alchemy, upgrade at least 1 lab, because that gives me a buff of 2 science, 1 for going from philosophy to alchemy, and then 1 more because Leonardo gives me bonus science, equal to the level of my best lab, and now I have to think what I want to do. So I could take St. Peter's under construction, and the idea here is that next turn at 7 rocks, I could not actually build it because it costs 8. So, well, I could build it with Leonardo if I research the technology for a bonus rock from Leonardo, because he gives a rock whenever you research a technology, and then I could build it. That would be 2 extra culture per turn. Thing is, I'm already ahead of my opponent on culture. Even after he builds the university, I'm still going to be at 3 to his 2. So I don't want to push culture too much, because I do need to take care of my military situation. Let's go ahead and do swordsman. Research the swordsman. I mean, warfare is a consideration. I do make 5 science a turn. Let's research swordsman. Let's upgrade this guy so that I'm 2 behind. And you know what? F it. For my last action, I will just upgrade my other lab. So I'm making a pretty stupendous 6 science a turn, which might mean I was wrong not to take the warfare. But even if I build up a nice big cache of science, that could be good, because in H2 there's a bunch of really good stuff. Architecture, to make your urban buildings cheaper, is tempting. The strategy is very tempting. Okay, so this, I think I actually am going to go up to 4 with it, just to make my opponent spend a defense card, which he obviously had. Because 2 extra yellow pips and a free population increase would have been rather great. So yeah, it kind of sucks that my opponent got that cartography. This cartography is doing wonders for him, but it also shows some of the power of Caesar. Caesar gives an extra military action, and that action makes it more likely that you find colonies. So you can go for a colony game with Caesar. Wouldn't surprise me now with 2 colonies, but my opponent went for James Cook in H2. James Cook gives you 2 culture for your first colony and 1 culture for every other colony, and you can play up to 2 non-defense military cards for a +1 bonus to colonization. So it's kind of like getting +2 bonus to colonizing as long as you have cards to spare, which you would if your previous leaders gave extra military actions, thereby letting you save up a whole bunch of military cards. So my opponent, I would say, definitely has an advantage here. He is way behind on science. He is the same as I am on rocks and on food, but he did get 2 colonies, so he has 3 extra blue pips, making it possible for him to hoard resources without being corrupt, and he has 2 extra yellow tokens in his bank, so he's going to get ahead of me on workers pretty soon here. My next turn, probably, we'll see what he does about this irrigation card. He built a second temple, so he's now 3 strength ahead. Well, 3 strength is fine, because I do have defense cards to block his attacks. Okay, so no politics. I don't want to put rats in here. You really need to know what you're doing if you play rats. I don't think I'm in a position to benefit from rats at the moment. My opponent does have more food than I do, but she can just spend it. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is take research irrigation, and upgrade twice. That uses up my age A rich land. And now I cry because it sucks, actually. I would like to get a population so that I can not be corrupt. Problem is, if I do that, then I'm not getting knights, and my opponent will take knights, and I won't have knights. I really want knights. I need to not fall behind on military. So we're going to do a little bit of a different plan. I'm only going to upgrade one farm. Still going to spend my food here, and then I'm going to take knights. Now, another option is I could have just let the rich land A go to waste and thrown it out. Then I would have had one more pip in here. Then I could have upgraded twice. So basically, the rich land A, I'm trading a food. No. Because if I raise population, I'm still not passing. I'm still not taking knights, right? Because if I basically take research, upgrade without rich land, right? I'm not corrupt. Ah, I see. So I can take the knights and not have to raise population. Okay, we'll do that. I think that might be the best move because that means I'm down a rock, but I'm getting rocks from Leonardo, and this way I get more food. And if I get more food, I think that's worth more right now than getting the rocks, because if I get more workers than my opponent, that's like the one way that I could maybe get some kind of an advantage against her. Now she does have, even after the age 2 population loss, she still has 3 yellow pips in her bank, which is stupendous. I only have 2, and one of them's not real because one of them's going to be unhappy. Okay, well, see what my opponent does. I'm kind of curious. She now makes 4 culture per turn, which is annoying. It's more than me. 1 for Joan, 2 for the temples, and 1 for the university. I'm making only 3, so she's going to get a little bit ahead. It's not the end of the world. She has a medieval army, which is really unfortunate. So now I'm 7 behind. Oh, it's gross. I can't make my legion, unfortunately. I can get up to 4 so that I'm 5 behind. This isn't how I wanted to spend my time. I would have loved to have researched iron. If my opponent... Oh, my opponent didn't draw any age 2 cards. Okay, since my opponent didn't draw any age 2 cards, I'm willing to let an aggression get through. Thing is, if she had drawn an age 2 card and she pulled off a raid of age 2, it would destroy both labs, which is unacceptable. As it is, as far as age 1 is concerned, there's only 3 cards in there. 2 of them are enslave, which I'm okay with. So what I'm going to do here is no politics. Do I go for iron here? I could actually take monarchy. With monarchy and code of laws, I'm fine for actions. And that would give me extra defense because I'd have an extra military action. It's definitely a consideration. The thing is, we're in H2. If I could pick up the constitutional monarchy, I'd have an extra action and an extra military action. But a good option now is better than the best option later. Man, it's a tough one. Okay, I'm going to grab iron. I'm going to research it. I'm going to also research knights for the extra rock from Leonardo. And I'm going to upgrade a couple of mines. It's a pretty bold move because I didn't increase my military at all. But the thinking here is that if I can get ahead on food and also rocks, my opponent's still in the Bronze Age. Well, I drew 2 wars. I'm obviously not going to play those, but it's kind of good because it means my opponent's not drawing them. There aren't that many wars. There's only 4. I drew half the wars there, which is good because that's one of the main things she could have drawn to take advantage of her military strength. Well, she does have an aggression, and it was a pretty good one. It's enslave. I have to lose a population, which sucks because I don't have any extra workers. That was the one drawback of my move there that I just made, which was to not raise population. So I'm going to lose this mine down here. It's the, I think, least significant thing for me to lose. I obviously don't want to lose my theater or my labs or my swordsman. And then we'll see what she does. So she's going to catch up on science. So she's making 5 to my 6. Very solid for her. I'm curious. It's not worth hate drafting selective breeding because my opponent has irrigation in hand. She might take it instead of irrigation, but I think it's not worth it for me to spend 40% of my turn to hate draft. No point in playing any events. I do have to lose a person. Okay, so now there's the Republic here. I don't think I want that because it's 3 more science than monarchy for 2 extra actions, granted, but I'm okay at 6 actions with just the 1 from monarchy. And it doesn't give any bonus military actions. I'd be much more excited if this were a constitutional monarchy. So what I'm going to do here is raise population Build a knight. That's not what I built. Game. So now I'm 5 behind, which is if I... Oh, you know, if I could have gotten Monarchy... Shoot. If I could have gotten Monarchy, then I would have actually been safe. Going 4 behind is no good because I still wouldn't be able to defend with 4 unless I drew an H2 defense card. Oh, crap. Okay, I'm kind of at the mercy. If this one card is a raid, I'm probably going to lose this game. Whoops! Okay, well, anyway, let's go ahead and research raise population. And... Gosh, what the hell else do I do here? Don't really want to get opera. It's just a 1 culture upgrade over the drama. Guess we'll raise population again. Oh, I know. I should build my mine back. That's probably a good thing to do. And my last thing, well, there's nothing good to do. I guess I'll take the monarchy. So we'll go for... Actually, no, I should keep those. I should get rid of this. And on certain borders would be nice if I ever did get ahead of her, but if I'm going to be ahead of her, I'd much rather play either war. Stealing science in the form of blue cards, potentially, or stealing yellow tokens. So now we're kind of in an awkward spot. I do end up with an unhappy worker. So if this was the rebellion that I've been afraid of the whole time, I'm going to lose 2 civil actions next turn if my opponent plays an event. No, it's just another colony. All right, well, hell. Throw it. There's no point throwing it up to 3 because anything. Her minimum bid is 3. So she obviously beats me there. She uses one of these little guys, which doesn't even take away her army. So my opponent's getting a lot of colonies. James Cook is going to be 4 culture a turn for her. She's catching up. Well, she's mostly caught up on science. She's ahead on points pretty substantially because she's played more events and she makes 1 more point than I do per turn. The one saving grace I've got is what? Well, let's look for them. I do have better rock and food production. I also have better science, technically. And civil actions were fine. She's a bit pressed for military cards because of all the aggressions she's been playing. One nice thing, she never took swordsman. I am definitely taking rifleman next turn, like just 100% definitely, for 2 civil actions. And then that means that she has to wait until age 3, hoping for the 1 modern infantry, if she ever wants any tactics card that uses infantry to not be obsolete. Which is pretty good, because if you look at the age 2, most of them use infantry. There's only 2 tactics cards that do not use infantry, and in age 3, there's only these 2, which are the same thing, but there's just these 2 physical cards that don't use infantry. So there's a total of 4 tactics cards in the entire game that my opponent can not be obsolete on if she does not have infantry beyond the starting warriors, which is why swordsmen are a pretty important thing. Okay, so my opponent got Republic, so she has a zillion civil actions, 8. She's going to be beating me on those. She's got 2 more civil actions per turn than I do, which is definitely a happy place to be. But that did not give her any more military actions, and I think those actually would have been more useful for her than the civil ones. Okay, so here, obviously no politics are necessary. Let's play the monarchy peacefully. So I'm 6 behind. I can do 4. I'd have to basically build another unit. It's annoying because... crap. Yeah, it's awkward because I am 1 science shy of being able to play the team sports. Maybe this is not the turn for monarchy then. Should I respect that she's got this thing? The problem is if I build team sports, I go up to 6, but with only a single age 1 defense card and 2 military actions, I cannot actually block a 4 strength differential. And with monarchy, I also can't do it because it gives me an extra 1 basically, but then I'm only up to 2, 3, 4. I'm only up to 8. I'd have to build a dude, but I can't build a dude because I don't have any workers, and I'm 1 food shy of being able to make another worker. Crap on a half. I could get the Eiffel Tower under construction, but it costs 13 rocks. It's a lot of rocks. I could research Rifleman. That would give me 1 more strength. I could do something goofy. I could like research Rifleman and Cavalryman and upgrade both. But then I'm still only getting 2 total strength from it, and I'm 4 behind. Yeah, my opponent's got me. If she picked up a raid here, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. All right, well, I hate draft the Rifleman. I'll still get the Monarchy since I'm screwed either way, so I might as well just, roll with it. And then we'll upgrade my last mine. Should I build another Dramatist? I can't. I'm a rock short if I'm upgrading the mine. That's too bad. I could put the Eiffel Tower under construction. I don't have anything else to do with my actions, really. Okay, I mean, I'll take the Cavalryman. This is good to have. It's good to pick up 1 of all the H2s so you can do any tactics in H3. The question is, am I going to get the Eiffel Tower built? I'm going up to 9 rocks. The next turn after that, I'm going to have 15. This costs 13, so I've got 2 rocks to spare to build military. I'm going to want more than that, so the answer is no. And what do? If I'm not getting Eiffel Tower, well, I could take Team Sports, I guess, because I'd want that to fix my happy faces. But the thing is, I might want BACH for the culture, and then I'd want to just build temples. Sorry, build theaters for my happy faces. I'm not necessarily going to want the Team Sports. I could take BACH now, I guess, since I know that I want him. Or I could take Frugality, I guess, and Organized Religion. It's not as good as Team Sports for fixing happy faces, but it does do the job. Okay, we'll do it that way. This could be... Oh, I can copy it. Oh my god, I can copy a tactic! I didn't realize! Oh, that's amazing! So I actually am safe! Haha! Just like I planned all along! Because now I have the defense card, 3 actions, so I can play 2 other cards, that's 4, and I block any aggressions. And I drew half the wars. She could still have wars, of course. She could have drawn them, but she's only got 2 H2 cards. That's the nice thing about her having few military actions. Okay, that's good. She's playing an event. It's another... Oh my god! That's so many colonies! Jesus. Oh god. Well, that's a lot of yellow tokens for her. So she never actually has to even upgrade her food. She's gotten so many yellow tokens from colonies. Total of fucking 6. Jesus. That she just never needs to go beyond these 2 farms all game. And then James Cook is going to be a zillion points for her now. James Cook is going to be 5 points a turn. So it means that much as I would be tempted to take Napoleon for the strength, I am going to have to... Actually, she upgraded food? Interesting. I wouldn't have done that, but I don't know. And she also spent 3 civil actions to block my strategy. Well then, so, what are we doing here? With journalism coming up, I could go for the greedy move and grab Shakespeare. The problem is this is a good opponent, so she'll see it coming from a mile away. She might hate draft the journalism. She does it with a zillion civil actions. And I'm not really prepared to take journalism for a zillion. So we're going to go ahead and, well, I'm obviously skipping politics. I could take navigation to fight against any more colonies that might still be in here. And it also gives me some strength. Okay, we'll do it. I'll take it, research it, get a rock. Let's go for BACH. Put him down. Make another drama. So making 9 per turn to her 4. James Cook is going to come out soon. There's only 13 cards left, so it's not going to last for super long. But for now, I'm doing okay on points. And I don't see any reason to grab these yellow cards, so we'll just raise population a couple of times. And I could actually raise it just once and build another drama. Okay. All right, we're getting frisky today. We are getting frisky because that is an incredibly, incredibly greedy move. But I am doing okay on strength. I have military technologies and the science to research them. I did commit to BACH. My opponent could take Napoleon, but I almost kind of wouldn't mind it if she took Napoleon, because if she takes Napoleon, yeah, she's going to get 4 strength from it, 6 after she builds cannon, but, like, I can maybe deal with that thanks to having these tactics cards. And, you know, like, I could potentially just not lose to the military strength, and then if I do successfully not lose to her military might, then I'm in really great shape because I am just making 12 culture per turn to her 4. Soon to be 3 after Joan dies. So she really does need Cook, who, by giving her 5 culture per turn, basically 1 more than the number of colonies you have is sort of how you can think about it, increases her culture by 4 because she already makes 1 from Joan. So she goes from 4 to 8. So she's still 4 culture per turn behind, which isn't that much. But she does not make any rocks. She could actually... Oh, that's... So one thing to note is... I don't agree with this play at all of building the Kremlin. That is a lot of civil actions. I mean, she has a lot. But I think what she should have done is actually taken the coal. With the coal and the revolutionary idea in her hand, she could have actually researched it. She couldn't have upgraded... I guess she couldn't have upgraded one, but there was this rich land here. She could have taken it at least, and a rich land, and gotten ready to upgrade her coal mines. And if she got her coal upgraded to at least match how many rocks I'm making, then she, I think, would have been able to beat me. But as it is, she's building the Kremlin, so she's going to lose a happy phase, get 2 extra actions that she doesn't need. She doesn't need the civil action. Military she needs, but the civil she does not need. It's arguable she doesn't even need the military because she has strategy, which would give her 2 military actions. So she's getting these actions she doesn't need, losing a happy face, which might be relevant, and making it more expensive to pick up wonders in H3, and all for just 2 culture per turn. It's a lot of rocks and a lot of civil actions. I think that if I win, I'm not saying I'm going to win, but if I win, I think that was the move that made my opponent lose the game, because it's just a lot of expenditure, and I don't think the benefit is justified. Okay, so what do we do here? Well, I think now that I've picked up this bad boy, I should just flip it around on my opponent here. I can just make 2 dudes, and for my last action, play a classic army. So pretty cool that I got that off. Now I don't need cannon. That's good enough to go endgame with. And I just look for air forces to get even more ahead on strength. And I kept these wars, so I'll be in pretty good shape. One thing to consider is I could spend some science to upgrade one of these and build one of them instead of the base versions for an extra strength boost. Is there anything that I care about more? Well, this is a weird time. There's nothing much to do with my actions. She got cannon, so I can't hate draft cannon. Architecture is good to build 3 stages of a wonder in 1 turn. That is good. Journalism for 2 culture a turn is good. And 2 science a turn, of course, as well. I could use some more science, so I could just build a lab for 2 science. It's sort of awkward. I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do with my actions. Crap. Well, I could put the Transcontinental Railroad under construction. It's kind of a weird play. It would give me 5 strength. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it. Let's put the pressure on. I'm ahead of her on culture, so let's pressure her militarily. Now, sadly, next turn at 8 rocks, I'm still a turn away from being able to build this because there's no yellow cards that grant rocks here. So what am I doing with my time? You know what? Let's commit to this plan. Let's build architecture so that when I research that, I can finish this more quickly in 2 actions instead of 4. Granted, I spend 1, but hopefully I will get some other benefits from architecture. Okay, so which things do I keep? I have to discard 1 more thing. Annex would be amazing. Plunder to steal rocks is also good, though. Let me finish the railroad. So we're going to get rid of, the war over technology. There's nothing I want to steal from her. And if you can't steal any useful blue techs from your opponent, I think the war over technology loses a lot of value. I messed up. Oh my god, I'm terrible at this game. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm awful at this game. I actually put myself in a position where I have revolt and no way of fixing the problem, because I am a food short of being able to raise in population. I could have researched organized religion and built it, but I'm a food short of getting the extra thing that I need to do that with. I should not have made this army. What I should have done is I actually had also that I just threw away this tactic. Obviously not nearly as good, but I could have just made a knight, put that tactic into play, and then I would have been in much better shape. Okay, well, why did my opponent go down to 8 strength? Oh, right, because Joan died, and she was giving her 2 strength from these 2 temples. Okay, really curious to see what my opponent does. She weirdly only has 3 rocks to work with here. I'm guessing... Oh, right. Well, I'm guessing she takes and plays Napoleon to go up to 12. And research strategy to go up to 15. So then my opponent's all set. I can't aggress her with that. Crap. Shoot. Yeah, that was a big mistake. So there's nothing I can really throw away here that I don't mind losing. The wonder, even if I built it, which I can't, does not give me... what's her face? What? Oh, okay. Interesting. Taking but not playing Napoleon. What the hell did my opponent do? Oh, Wave of Nationalism. That gives her a 6 rock bonus for building units. Okay. Cool. So she took Napoleon, not James, which is great. So mission accomplished with my greedy play. The question is, what the hell am I going to do now about this situation? I can't declare war over territory on her, because she's just going to play Napoleon and actually get ahead of me. She ties with Napoleon. And then if she makes a single unit, she steals a yellow token from me instead of vice versa, so that's no good. So no, I guess I could play a thing just to make her throw away cards. Just random cards. Is that worth it? To draw 1 fewer card myself? No, I don't think that's worth it. So I'm going to just not do that. Okay, so I have to destroy something. What do I destroy? You could argue for destroying a farm, because at only 1 food per turn, it's not that big of a deal. But that 1 food would give me an extra worker next turn. So I'm going to actually play a bit of a bold move. I'm going to destroy a lab. It's a little bit risky to drop down to 13 science. I've got this cache of science built up, but I don't have that much science to work with. So it's a risky move. I am going for my culture to win me the game. So, and also I could try picking up yellow cards for science as well. So let's see. We will. Should I make organized religion so that I can get my happy faces back up? Then I can actually use these workers. That seems like a smart thing to do. Okay, so let's research architecture and organized religion. Oh my god, losing that lab hurts so bad. Maybe I should lose a mine, because going down to 4 rocks a turn, I'm still ahead of my opponent. And then this, yeah, I think that's got to be the right play. I'm gonna lose the mine. Although by that logic, I should really just lose the farm and not make that other worker. Yeah, I'm gonna lose the farm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lose the farm. Then I'm gonna research architecture and organized religion. If I make this, 6 plus 3 is 9, 9 plus 3 is 12, which is enough to build the Transcontinental Railroad. Oh, wait a minute. I could actually destroy a drama and build that into organized religion. Then I don't have to lose my farming. I do lose 1, 2 culture per turn. That's actually worth it to not lose the farm. Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that. So, lose a drama, go down to 9, but then go back up to 10. 10 is still good. Still 7 more than my opponent per turn. Then I take reserves so I can build the Transcontinental Railroad next turn. And then we're going to grab patriotism. It's a bit of a risky play because scientific method does have a lot of merit. The thing is that BACH gives me so much culture. Even after I destroyed a drama, he still gives me 4 culture per turn. It's going to be tricky to match that, even with someone like Sid Meier. You know, with 2 scientific methods in Sid Meier, you're making 4 culture per turn. So I have to actually build like a 3rd scientific method. Refugee. I can't believe my opponent. Why did my opponent play an event? This is my opponent's event that she put in. She knew. Oh god, it froze. Hang on a second. Let's go back to the lobby. She knew that that was the event because the game shows you, like, if you have one event sitting in the pile and it was an event that you put in, it'll show you like this is the event. So she knew that that was it. That gains me 3 culture, loses her 3 culture, makes her lose a population, which she can't because she doesn't have any idle workers. So she has to. She's in the same position that I put myself into, where like she has to destroy something that's actually already built. And I gain a population, which is awesome. Why would she play an event? What event is? It must have been this H3 event. She must like love this H3 event so much. And like, yeah, she's behind on strength, but she's got the wave of nationalism and Napoleon. She's gonna get ahead of strength on me, so it's very bizarre. So either she really cared about playing that H3 event, or there's something in here that's so good that she was willing to suffer that hit from refugees just to play it. I don't even know what that would be that's so amazing that it's worth losing. It's like she like basically threw away 12 points. The difference between winning refugees and losing refugees is 12 points. So it's a 6-point swing, and if a 6-point swing goes the other way, it's a 12-point swing. So she's like threw away 12 points for that. Very bizarre. Anyway, I'm not gonna play any events because I don't know what's in here now, but it's probably terrible. So we'll skip politics, get a free worker. Let's get our reserves. Let's build the Transcontinental Railroad. So I'm 3 behind now. I am safe. And let's think. Well, I think I'm just gonna. It's tough. It's tough. So there's a couple different options here. One is I could take movies and get up to a movie and get an extra 2 culture per turn each time I do that. I think I'm making enough culture to win the game, though I don't need to be that aggressive about it. I could take reserves. I could take Hollywood. 12 points isn't quite good enough. I could take the fast food chains, which is obviously really good, but then I'm 1 action shy of being able to make the reserves, which I would have loved to have picked up. As it is, I'm going to be able to build it in 2 turns. Obviously, that gets shot down if I have to do any kind of military building beyond these 3 free rocks that I have. Oh boy, it's tough. I could actually take Gandhi and just stop doing military and just focus on culture. Gandhi would lose me 2 culture compared to BACH. Okay, I'm gonna do this. This could be completely wrong, but let's see. Industry, I'm actually a fair bit ahead on that. Science, that's one I can't count on winning, so we're gonna throw the science. So actually, you know what? I'm not gonna pull off these aggressions ever, so I'm just gonna throw them away. Maybe I'll get to steal a yellow token, maybe, but I'm not gonna pull off an aggression. Okay, so my opponent got this mobile army, which is really good for her. 2 of these is a lot of strength, it's 10 strength. And then she's actually doing an aggression. That's a very interesting choice. Well, I'm probably not going to do this tactic. But I'm pretty sure I'm not going to do this either. You know what? I'm going to throw the war away. I don't think I'm actually going to pull off that war. So we'll just throw away those cards. My opponent is a good play. She still draws. Remember, you can only draw 3 cards per turn, so spending your 4th military action to make your opponent throw cards away is a non-loss thing, unless later you think you would have been able to get that aggression through. So basically right now my opponent has a massive advantage on civil actions and pretty good advantage on strength too. So my strategy is just to culture my way through. I'm just going to power through, making 7 extra culture per turn. I am going to build these fast food chains for probably by the time it's built. I mean, it says 19 now, but I'm probably going to have some other thing. Probably 20 points by the end of the game. And then, yeah, just, you know, hope to win on culture. Hopefully whatever events my opponent is putting in are not... Like, you can actually lose just because of these events, but hopefully whatever events my opponent's putting in are not so devastating that they cause me to lose. Like as a swing where I'm in the lead after my last turn, but then I lose after the events are resolved. So basically, this I'm kind of hanging on to because we're close on science. So if my opponent does not take a lot of science, I could potentially like squeak in by like 1 science difference and beat her on that event for 10 points. Okay, my opponent surprised me. That was a really good play. I thought that Winston Churchill would be open, but because she had Napoleon, but she actually is just never going to play Napoleon. She played Winston, who gives you 3 culture per turn that you can sacrifice for 3 science and 3 rocks that can be used for making military units. She got tanks, so with this patriotism, she's going to be able to upgrade her tanks, and potentially she could actually build 2 of these. 1 horse and 2 cannons, because she's got 2 horses and she just needs 1 more cannon, which she can maybe get, and then she's going to have a zillion strength. Aha. Okay, so basically I am completely screwed if she pulls that off, which means I have to go full bore for military. Just completely full bore military. So we're going to research the cavalrymen and the riflemen. I'm going to play the patriotism. I'm going to basically just upgrade as much as I can. I'm even willing to not finish my wonder, basically, because I'm in really scary shape if my opponent does this. Because let's see, she's going to have 5 military actions thanks to patriotism. She can easily do like 1, 2, make a worker, 3... Well, hang on. Does she have enough rocks? It costs 3 to 7. 4 rocks for each of these. She's got Churchill for 3, Patriotism for 4. So it's 7 plus 4 is 11. Okay, so she cannot make a cannon next turn, but she can make one the turn after that. So I'm in pretty dire shape on this front. There's the modern infantry, although I don't think it's actually relevant for her because I mean it is. He could research it. Sorry, I'm switching my pronouns. My opponent is now a male leader. He could research it thanks to Churchill and Revolutionary Idea, and that would let him do a modern army, but it's not really any better than the mechanized army. It's just a question of which one he drew, I guess. Still, I think spending 3 civil actions to hate draft that is a bit too speculative. I'm going to go ahead and grab the reserves, and let's see. I think we just... Urban growth I don't care about. I don't care about urban buildings anymore. I'm just going to raise population because I need workers to make military units. Now the main problem with my play is that this way I don't actually draw any cards, which I might have liked to have done so that I could have potentially drawn a better tactic. Okay, so my opponent now is playing an event. Iconoclasm. Oh, so I lose Bach. Okay. Iconoclasm is the event that makes you lose a worker from the previous age. Or a leader from the previous age. So maybe that's why he didn't play Napoleon, because he would have lost it. My opponent might have just used a temporary Churchill and could actually replace Churchill with Napoleon. That is something I've never seen before. Hats off to my opponent if he does this. So my opponent actually now could take Air Forces, research it thanks to Revolutionary Idea, raise population, and use patriotism to make an Air Force, and play Napoleon for bonus 8 strength. So the Air Force is 5, plus 5 is 10, plus 8 is 18, and go up to 47 and be 20 points ahead, which I can't really match because I cannot make Air Forces. Even if the other Air Force were to show up, I don't have enough science for it. Wait, what is my opponent? What? What? What's my opponent doing? Military theory. Engineering? Why the hell would you do engineering? And building an H2 lab. I don't understand that play whatsoever. Because getting engineering and building a lab is not what my opponent should be doing. My opponent should just be going full-bore military and trying to... I mean, if he doesn't already have one, he should be trying to draw war over... He should basically be like, oh, I just got to draw war over culture or I lose, and just go for it like that. Wow, that was bizarre. Okay, well, I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to play any events. There's no point in whatever the hell is in there. This is not better enough. It's 5 points plus 3 for playing it, so it's 8 points. The 8 points is not worth whatever's going on here. I guess I could look to see if anything bad could happen. Maybe nothing terrible. Terrorism, I lose a building. Cold War, my opponent gets science. I don't have any colonies to lose. I could play an event. How behind do I think I am? We're both making the same culture per turn. Churchill makes 3 culture per turn. So, it's tough to say. Man, I really want this game to end, but I can't end it this turn. It basically, my opponent's going to have 2 turns left. Okay, I'm going to play an event. I think it's too close right now that I need to get these points. Prosperity, that's fine. Okay, so we all get some food. Cool. Well, might as well put a leader in. Einstein gives me 3 culture whenever I research a tech, which is going to happen once when I research Air Forces, and then never again. So it's 3 points. Sid Meier gives me 2 points for these 2 labs, but I lose 2 science a turn. That doesn't seem worth it. Gates gives me 2 points for these 2 labs once, and an extra 2 rocks a turn. I don't think I need those 2 rocks. So we'll take Einstein, play him. I don't need to take the Air Forces because there's another one for my opponent to take, but I will take Modern Infantry to stop that in case my opponent does have that. I will take... This corruption's annoying. Well, I could just, I guess, make another dude, just for the hell of it. Just to be ahead, just in case. And grab the reserves and the genius. I'm never going to get the democracy, I don't think, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to make my Air Forces. Okay. Well, if I win this game, and I'm not saying I will, it's still very, very close. It's going to be because of my opponent's last turn, which I think was a catastrophe. I mean, I could be wrong. Please, it's a hard game, and I'm not like saying I'm the world's best player. But I believe that my opponent's previous turn was catastrophically wrong. Because instead of doing this weird stuff, building a lab, taking pro sports, researching engineering for some bizarre reason, my opponent, and taking military theory for 3 actions, my opponent should have just done whatever he could to increase military. Maybe even doing that trick with swapping out Churchill for Napoleon. Of course, that only would have worked if my opponent could have made a war that turn, because if my opponent played Napoleon last turn and declared a war right now, Napoleon would be dead by the time the war resolved. So, okay, that maybe I was wrong to think was a possibility. But yeah, my opponent needed to do that and get a war over culture and steal, 40 points from me. Or steal 20 points from me for, a 40-point swing. And had my opponent done that, then he could have won. But maybe my opponent just got unlucky. Maybe my opponent never drew these tactics, So maybe if my opponent never drew any of these tactics cards, there's nothing he could have done. And I actually drew one of the ones that my opponent wants. So there's only one other of these in the deck that my opponent would have really wanted. And then the 2 balanced armies, that's these. But my opponent would have had to have taken Modern Infantry for that, which my opponent, I believe, could have done. I hate drafted this. It was in the 4th spot, so I took it to prevent my opponent from getting it. I think my opponent could have taken it. Maybe it would have been 3 civil actions or something, but it would have been worth doing to get a huge, huge army. My opponent perhaps just got unlucky and never drew tactics, in which case all of my analysis, which was a worst case kind of analysis, speculating and assuming that my opponent had what my opponent needed to win, would have actually missed the mark. Okay, there's the war over culture. My opponent has, luckily, only 2 military actions to work with. How much can we get up to? 46? Okay, so my opponent did not ever upgrade any tactics, so it's just 2 mobile armies, one of which is double thanks to the airplanes. And at this point, my opponent's next turn will be his last, which is great. So this is the only war that's going to happen. So basically, all I have to do is just make sure that I minimize the impact of the war, and I'm good to go. Sadly, the rockets were at the very bottom of the deck, so I never got to like upgrade my classic army, which only gives 8 strength, to either of these, which would have given a lot more. But it's okay, I think, because I take Air Force, I research it. This gives me 13 strength, so I'm up to 43. And, well, now it's like, okay, so if I let the war resolve, my opponent steals 8 culture from me, which is a 16-point swing. I'm currently ahead by 28, so it's sort of a, you know, wait, did I play an event? Should I play Impact of Science? I'm probably going to win it now. Well, my opponent's at 8 versus my 6. So I'd have to actually work at it to win this event, sadly. Actually, even one more lab, I'd be at 8 to 8, and then the first player breaks ties. Ah, crap. Okay, so I actually can't win this. So, okay, that answers my question of I don't want to play it. So basically, I could do some weird stuff. I could, like, go reserves for food, make, oh, I'm food short. Crap. Okay. Well, yeah, it's actually kind of hard for me to get my last, person. I could, like, just make another airplane and steal 7 culture from my opponent. Oh, that's gotta be worth it. Yes. So I'm gonna destroy a lab. Yeah. To prevent revolt, I do want to get my culture and my rocks and stuff. 8 plus these 8. I still can finish the wonder. We'll grab urban growth so I can make another temple or another organized religion. Is actually, I'm going to want the organized religion to stop the happy face problem. And I think a revolutionary idea, it's basically worth 3 points for me because it'll let me research this for an extra 3 points from Einstein. Kind of a weird play. My opponent was able to see that I could actually win the war and steal culture from him instead of the other way around. My opponent's unfinished Kremlin gets discarded, and there's no wonders for my opponent to build. Not that my opponent could have built them, because my opponent has no rocks. Okay, well, my opponent is playing in a different game. You can see from yellow that means that he is signed in to the app, but is not currently eyes on this game. I don't blame my opponent for that. It happened in another game I played as well, because I'm making a recording, so I'm talking a lot, so I'm much slower than I would be normally. I don't know if I'm much slower. I guess I'm pretty slow at this game if I'm trying really hard to win. But I'm slower than I would be normally, so I don't blame my opponent for kind of getting bored and not necessarily wanting to be here the whole time. But anyway, I think we got it. So if you want to close the video, you can. Please like and or subscribe, or just click to the end and see if something really crazy happened. But I'm at double my opponent's score. These events would have to be some freaking insane things for my opponent to get ahead of me. Let me try to think what they could be, I guess, as an intellectual exercise. My opponent has researched a fair number of techs. So, like, actually quite a lot of these events are pretty good. So, impact of technology, that's 4 culture per age 3 technology. There's 1, 2, 3 for my opponent, and he could do 4. So, that's 4. It's 4. I've only had 1, and I will have 2. So, that's an extra 8 points for my opponent from that event. Impact of government is 2 points per civil action, 1 point per military action. So, my opponent for that one gets, let's see, 2 civil actions more than me. He didn't have enough science to get the civil service. So it's 2, so it's 4 points. That's only 5 points, because there's also 1 extra military action. Okay, so there's 1 that gives him 8. 1 that gives, oh, impact of colonies, of course, 3 culture per colony. That's a good one, because he's got 4 to my 0, so that's 12 points. So there's a 12-point event, an 8-point event. Impact of strength, if my opponent gets ahead of me, that's 10 points. Impact of progress is 2 culture per level of blue and government technologies. I would have 2, 4, 5, 6 levels, and he has 2, 4, 5, 8 levels. That's 4 points. That's actually not that big of a swing. So yeah, I don't think there's enough of a swing in these military events for my opponent to beat me with a 50-point deficit, plus the 21 points I'm going to get from my fast food chains. Actually, probably 22, because I believe I can actually do urban growth Actually, it's a bit close. This costs 5, -1 from urban growth. It costs, or from -4 from urban growth. It costs 1, which is actually a crucial one because then I do it up top to 7, and then these 2 reserve cards give me 8, which is 1 shy of building this wonder, because that would be 15 rocks, and this thing costs 16. How many actions is it? 1, 2, 3. Oh no, I'm fine. I have the engineering genius. So basically 1, 2, 3, 4 to build the wonder because of architecture letting me build 3 stages in one go. So that's 4 civil actions to build this wonder. And then that means I have 2 civil actions to play with, one of which is to build this temple. Okay, I'm just going to pause the video here and do a cut, and then come back when my opponent is back to finish up this game. Okay, so my opponent actually abandoned the game. The app does a very interesting thing. When you abandon the game, you get taken over by an AI, so the game still finishes. I find that to be a very questionable design decision, because maybe in like a 3 or a 4 player game to maintain like the game balance, that makes sense. But in a 2 player game, you should just win if your opponent runs out of time, is my opinion. I'm saying this because I'm honestly kind of bitter. There was one game that I lost because my opponent abandoned, and then I played badly, or maybe my opponent was ahead, and then I ended up losing to the AI, which felt kind of crappy. Any hoodle. So my opponent abandoned. I don't blame it. It was a pretty frustrating game. Maybe my opponent never got the tactic that he needed. Maybe he didn't get the war in time. Or who knows, maybe my opponent is just a poor sport. I'm not sure. The point is, these events, this one, I gain 3 for playing it, and I lose 2 when it gets resolved, although I will actually have an extra happy worker when I make my temple. So yeah, we'll play it. It's worth points. This event might be something bad. I get 6 science. How cute. Is actually enough to research an extra technology? Well, let's see. So I need to urban growth, make a temple, play both reserves. This actually gives 5 rocks. But the thing, and you might think, oh, 11 plus 5 is 16, but the stages of the fast food chains are each 4 rocks, so it's only really worth 4 rocks, which is up to 15, which is not enough. So I have to play reserves for 4 rocks, engineering genius, and then finish the wonder. 22 points. And you know what? That Cold War is actually really good, because with 1 civil action, I could not do what I said I would do, which is to play Revolutionary Idea and research the modern infantry, but because I got that free 6 science from my opponent who played that Cold War, I get to research that tech. That extra 6 science was handy, and that is 3 points for Einstein plus maybe 4 if my... Oh, wait. Oh, I should have used my last rocks to upgrade. Well, I think I threw away Impact of Competition, so it's okay. Balance, I actually beat him on. Industry is what I put in. I beat him on a lot because he destroyed a mine. Population I just put in. I actually beat him on that as well, thanks to my temple taking a happy worker into an unhappy worker. And then he did put government in here, which is only 5 points for him. So yeah, that was the demolition derby of a level 43 player in the app. I beat him by, what is that, 83 points. That's a pretty crushing win. I will take it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and or subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.